Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. This video is a little bit different. In this one, I'm actually going to show you guys how I tried and absolutely failed on several counts to make a body wash formula. This is going to be really fun because so many different things went wrong that I think you guys will actually enjoy the cool things that ended up happening. So let's get started. Alright, so I'm just going to jump right into it. I'm not even going to show you guys the formula I use because it doesn't make sense for me to share with you a formula that failed so terribly. So we're just going to watch my process and I'll explain where I went wrong with things. Alright, so I'm starting off here. The first ingredient is called Surf Pro CC6. It's really also known as PEG 6 caprylic glycerides. It's just a water-soluble emollient that's derived from coconuts. So all that means is I'm using it as a secondary surfactant in the shampoo. It's a mild product. It offers moisturizing effect because it refats the skin. It's got great foam quality and a silky afterfeel. And then it's also used to solubilize small amounts of oils in like body wash formulas. So I'm using it to add more moisturization to this body wash and to be able to add the oils without them separating out. The benefits of this particular ingredient and why I chose it is it's for sensitive skin. It's very gentle, it softens the skin, it's natural, and it helps create clear products. I also use cocamidopropyl betaine, which is another mild surfactant that's derived from coconuts. It's actually extremely common in surfactants, body washes, shampoos. You'll find it like everywhere. This next ingredient I put in is a white powder. It's called SCI, or sodium cocoyl isethionate. It's another surfactant that comes in powdered form, and it's also very gentle and mild, but it produces rich creamy foam, really big thick fluffy bubbles, and it leads to your skin feeling really conditioned. It's great for like luxury formulas, which is what I love to make. You can also actually use this powder for solid formulas, but I really wanted to do a liquid first. Also, another thing to know, if you ever work with this ingredient, you should never not be wearing like a ventilating mask. So you have to make sure that you're not going to breathe in these particles because it's really bad for you to inhale this stuff, and it's definitely something that's easily airborne. So I kind of struggled a little bit with this, but it ended up being fine in that category. You'll see here that I'm really just mixing what I've already added. These are really just all the surfactants together. The idea behind this part is just that they're supposed to combine into this thick paste that you see is kind of starting to form. At this point, this is what I'm expecting to happen. So it's like so far so good at this point in the formula. And this part was actually really satisfying for me to be participating in because I just really liked how it kind of looks like icing, low-key. So now in a separate container, I'm just going to be adding water, aloe vera juice, and glycerin in terms of like the liquids, the clear liquids that you'll see. I really wanted this to be a really moisturizing, like really luxurious body wash. But I also know that it doesn't make sense to like have the water portion be completely aloe vera juice with a rinse off product because it's just way more expensive than it's worth. So I just made part of the water part. The aloe vera juice and the glycerin is a humectant, so that also aids with the moisturization properties of the formula. Now here you'll see me add the DL-panthenol. This is one of my really favorite ingredients to work with. I actually use it in my own business and my butter body cream product. It is essentially vitamin B5. It is something that occurs naturally in healthy hair, and it's present in all living cells, so it's naturally found in your body. It's great at moisturization and improves hydration of your skin, or reduces water loss. It maintains your skin elasticity and softness. And according to the paperwork of where I got it from, when you use it in formulations over the course of 3 to 4 weeks, it has the potential to improve the appearance of skin like dryness, roughness, scaling, and erythema. Now you'll see me add hydrolyzed silk amino acids. All these amino acids do is help with the hydration of the skin. Again, this ingredient actually has a small molecular weight, so they're more penetrating to skin and hair, so they work better because they're able to actually get into the layers of your skin. They penetrate into the upper layers of your skin, and if in hair products, they actually penetrate into the hair cuticle all the way to your hair shaft, and this draws moisture into these places, which improves your skin and hair hydration. In hair, this actually results in increased flexibility and manageability, and it softens your hair. In skin, it makes you more hydrated, more supple, and more smooth. This particular version of silk amino acids is actually paraben free, and it also is an all natural ingredient. So far we're at a completely 100% natural formula, which I always love to challenge myself to accomplish. Now I'm just giving that phase a good mix to make sure everything's incorporated and it's homogeneous and all that good stuff. Alright, so here's where the fun starts happening. I'm going to create a water bath to heat up the first phase with all the surfactants and the powder, because this SCI powder needs to essentially melt down into the formula. This part was actually a little bit ghetto for me, because if I let the beaker like sit in it by itself, it wouldn't overflow, particularly like the bowl it was in, but I was kind of scared that it would fall out or something, because the bubbles like were going crazy. I literally had to hold it up and hover it so that I didn't make a complete mess on my work table. I'm also going to heat up the water phase so that they incorporate nicely when they're combined together. Alright, so at this point we're just giving the surfactants another good mix. The idea here was to make sure there was no clumps. As much as possible that I could check. I kind of felt like it would have been really easy for clumps to hide at this part, but I was just trying to trust the process. Now I'm essentially going to combine phase A with phase B by pouring the water phase into the surfactant phase. This part is actually pretty cool because you'll see that they don't readily incorporate. They like immediately separate into two huge layers. At this point, it's still in my mind going according to plan, because my expectation was that they would separate and then I would have to leave this mixture here to sit for like 24 hours so that the powder could dissolve into the rest of the mixture, and then it would come out supposedly with a clear body wash formulation. So I did leave it sit for 24 hours. This next clip here looks the exact same. It's actually after the 24-hour mark. So I came back and I was like, oh, well, that didn't work out according to plan. But I did notice that the white, like the ratio from white to clear or brown, was less than it was the day before. So I trusted it and I was like, well, I'll just leave it to sit for longer than normal. So here is that clip. Now at this next part, we're actually going to jump ahead because I did a bunch of stuff off camera, but I'll explain what happened. So you'll see here that we ended up with this weird thick substance on top. So what happened was I let it sit for 24 hours and I came back and it was still not like mixed in with each other. So I let it sit for maybe like 3 days total. And then I was like, okay, it kind of like worked out. But the last of my plan for this formula was to thicken it with this substance called tar gum. A lot of people use xanthan gum to thicken, but tar gum is supposed to work better, and it does work better. You need less to thicken more. But then I noticed that I put it in and all the tar gum essentially just floated all the way to the top. And when I left it for 24 hours, I came back and this was what happened. So I tried to remix it like with my overhead electronic mixer. I let it sit for like a week. I came back and this is what it was. So I figured if I could just take this part out, I could still use the rest of the body wash. Now I will say this stuff was actually pretty durable. Like it wasn't just jelly that immediately dissolved when I touched it. Like I had to try to rip it up. And even here I'm kind of testing to see what the consistency is like. Literally no matter how much I squeezed it, it wasn't really like breaking up. Like it was just like putty. It was really fun to play with, and it was actually inspiring me to see if I could do like a jelly body scrub kind of thing. But I have no idea how I would do this on purpose. So we'll see if I can maybe get that going. But yeah, it actually also fascinated me how sudsy it was. Like this is, I didn't add water to this. I literally just took it out and started playing with it. And it's very sudsy. So I wanted to play with it more. So then I decided to run some water and see if I could like rinse off the soap and if it would kind of just stop bubbling up. But what actually ended up happening was, you see me using it here and it actually looks very luxurious. I actually really want to make a product that feels like this. But you see I would try to rinse it off to see if I could get the soap off. But I actually feel like the soap soaked into this little thick piece. And even after I rinsed it off, I was still able to essentially reuse it. And so that was really cool. I had a lot of fun playing with this. And I also noticed that the little pieces, like you can see that they're little pieces because I squeezed them and I kind of forced them to break apart. But as far as using them, it wasn't really like disintegrating as it touched water. And so this whole thing was really just cool. I played around with it for a while before continuing with my experiment. All in all, after that whole shebang, this is how much body wash I actually had left between all that evaporation and me taking out stuff. This is what I have left. And I decided that I could still use the body wash if I just take out the thick part, because it was all one big piece. So that's exactly what I did. And now I'm going to essentially put it into various bottles and put fragrance in different bottles, because there were some fragrances that I wanted to work with. That had its own thing going on, so I'll show you the things that happened after I added fragrance to some of these bottles. So my idea when doing this part was that I would do like 99% formula to like 1% fragrance. It did end up bothering me that like a total of 100 grams didn't quite fill the bottle. And since the formula was so far gone at this point, I kind of just decided to fill it the rest of the way. And I just worked out the calculations on how it would be 1% fragrance. All in all, what was left in the beaker made like 6 of these bottles of body wash. So I experimented with like 6 different fragrances, or really it was 5 different fragrances, and one of the bottles I like halfway filled and then experimented with mica coloring. I didn't show me filling all 6 because they all looked exactly like this, but I will say that like every single bottle did something different. So we're gonna look at what happened with those next. Before I show you that part though, I did want to show you guys the consistency of this body wash. I guess it wasn't the worst thing ever, but it was definitely more liquidy than I wanted it to be, because how I tried to thicken it obviously didn't work. I still ended up using it though. Now you'll see here that I wanted to experiment with pink mica. I really just wanted to see if this body wash would suspend the pigment or if it would just settle to the bottom after a while. And it actually ended up going through various stages. I thought that maybe was success, but nope, I was wrong. So if I'm not mistaken, this I think is the same day that I put the mica in there. It probably was just a few minutes or a few hours later, but I can already see it precipitating out. I actually went on vacation for 2 weeks, and when I came back home yesterday, this is what it looks like. You can see that the mica did precipitate out. I don't know what those other components are, but it's not fragrance because I didn't put fragrance in that one. This bottle was also 2 weeks after the fact, but actually it did this the day that I put the fragrance in it. I thought that if I just let it sit, it would reincorporate, but that is not what happened. So yeah, but it didn't do the same as all the other bottles. Like this is another bottle, and there was some precipitation, but it's not as much. So I'm like, well, I know that it's dependent on fragrance oil, but it seems like none of the fragrances just acted right. Even this one, which was probably the most successful out of all of them, I left for 2 weeks, and when I came back, it was just this little deposit at the bottom. I have no idea what that is. The rest of the formula looks beautiful, and I did try it out. I don't think I filmed me trying it out because I was just over this whole process by that point. But I guess if I were to do like a hypothesis or a guess on what that is, I would think that some of the SCI powder precipitated out at the bottom. I honestly don't know what else that would be. It doesn't look like it's fragrance oil. But anyways, yeah, I hope you guys had fun watching this. If you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any of my new content, and let me know in the comments what else you'd like to see here. See you guys next time.